Hello, Matt Wilson again. I'm going to squeeze in another video, maybe even two today before I go down to San Diego for my spring break. Today is going to be on everyone's favorite Scottish folk singer, Donovan, from the 60s and the 70s. I'm going to do up to 76 today, even though I don't have any use for those later mid-70s Donovan albums. But I quite like his 60s stuff. And even in the early 70s, he was still worthwhile. So I've been thinking about doing a show on Donovan for a while now, and I was syncing the Sunshine Superman album with a friend the other day. I thought, I got to do it. So I got a big old stack of CDs here. I don't really have a box set, although I do have the Troubadour thing, which I'll show you at the end. They're all just individual CDs. I'm going to start with this, what I like, this Donovan 65 double disc set. It covers both of his 65 albums, and they do not reproduce the covers here. First one's What's Been Done and What's Been Hid. I think that's what it's called. This is the cover of that album, but it's got this Catch the Wind title. This is a nice little disc that Steve Hoffman did, by the way, of Donovan in 65. But this is the cover of the UK, What's Been Done, What's Been Hid. And then there's Fairy Tale, which I don't even have a reproduction of that cover to show you. They're both pretty good without being great. Any comparisons that Donovan has received over the years to Bob Dylan mostly come from his 1965 material that's acoustic. He had any number of really good songs that year. Catch the Wind, that's the first thing on here. It's the single version with strings. It was different than the album version. I'm just going for the really popular stuff here. Colors, again, there's a single version and an album version. Universal Soldier, Sunny Googe Street, and the Hey Gyp, which the Animals did a really good version of that the very next year. So I do recommend this little Donovan 1965. It's remastered. It's got all of his recordings from 65, and the 45 mixes when they differentiate from the LP mixes. But I don't have either of the CDs of those two albums to show you. Okay, so moving on, we get into Donovan proper, Donovan the folk rocker, Donovan the electrified singer with 1966's Sunshine Superman. This, of course, is the US version. I think this was the LP cover in the UK. We got this in 66. To this day, it is my favorite Donovan album. It's in mono, although they say there's a good sounding stereo version that just came out in the 21st century, but I'm pretty much a purist with these things. If it was in mono for all those years, decades, I'm going to stick with the mono mix. I like the whole thing. Sunshine Superman is a classic. Really, these are all good. Ferris Wheel, Birds Blues. Season of the Witch is another Donovan classic. The Trip, Guinevere, Fat Angel, which the Jefferson Airplane did a good version of on the Bless His Pointed Little Head LP. Celeste, and then you get any number of cool bonus cuts. Yeah, cut for cut, this is the best folk rock album, and it's the best Donovan album that he ever made, but that's just my opinion. Of course, as is everything that I say, right? In 67, we got Mellow Yellow. This is a CDR. I don't have an individual CD. Mellow Yellow is almost as good, guys. It's similar. It's a little mellower than Sunshine Superman, but I mean, Mellow Yellow itself is a classic. Rider in the Sun, Sand and Foam, House of Jans. He recorded more than one homage to Burt Jansch. Young Girl, but yeah, Museum, Sunny South Kensington. And then as bonus tracks in the CD, you get Epistle to Dippy. That's a great one. There Is a Mountain, which the Allman Brothers did a really long version of that called Mountain Jam. Yeah, this is another solid album in 67. And if that weren't enough, A Gift from a Flower to a Garden. Now, this is the version that I recommend. It's in mono, as was Mellow Yellow. It's a double album. Gosh, I'm not going to take it out and go over the songs for you, but Yeah, there's like a regular record, and there's like one for kids. You know, he would do a whole album of stuff for kids called HMS Donovan in the early 70s. This is a strong one too. I like these early mono Donovan albums. When you think of great double LPs from the 60s, this one does not usually come to mind, but it is. An album like this, or, you know, the Bee Gees' Odessa would be another one, you know, don't usually come to mind when you think of like the White Album or Blonde on Blonde or Electric Ladyland, you know, the more obvious choices. But if you've never heard this, pick it up, you know. Not as immediate as Sunshine and Superman or even Mellow Yellow, but another worthy contender for a great Donovan album. Okay, in 68, Hurdy-Gurdy Man, the first one that does not have a true mono mix, or at least not one that I know of. Okay, another good record. Every album he made in the 60s is worthy, I think, of your time. I love Hurdy-Gurdy Man. Jennifer Juniper is really good. Everything on here is good. Lelena, of course, that's a bonus track. That's one that Deep Purple covered. And then they have, I think, the re-recordings of Colors and Catch the Wind, which I'll get to in a second when I get to the Donovan's Greatest Hits album. So, Hurdy-Gurdy Man, another really good one, if maybe not as good to these ears as the previous three. It's still solid. Then there's Donovan in Concert. It's a double disc set. There's a lot of stuff on here. Actually, it's not a double disc set. This is, yeah, this is the double disc set. All right, that's all you need. It's, you know, it's nice. It's well recorded. I think his father introduces him. It's got plenty of good stuff on here. And I'm looking over the Pistol to Daryl. I'm trying to find stuff on here that wasn't on previous albums. I'm realizing I don't know all the song titles on all the previous albums, so I really can't tell. But this is recorded here in Anaheim, in LA County, and I've always liked it. You know, it's solid. It's not going to blow you away. It's not going to convert you, but you know, it's more than just something to get for the complete Donovan in the 60s. It's good. In 69, the first Donovan album I ever heard in its entirety was Donovan's Greatest Hits. This is where you could get at the time Lelena, and there's something else on here. Where You Love Like Heaven was on the double album. Jennifer Juniper, yeah. There Was a Mountain, Pistol to Dippy. It's also got some re-recordings, Colors and Catch the Wind. These were the versions that I knew from this album, so that when I heard the original LP and 45 mixes of those songs, they sounded different to me. You know, like I thought these were the correct versions. But anyways, it's still a virtually perfect little encapsulation of his career in the 60s, not including the Barabba-Jangle album, though, which I'll get to in a second. So it's probably rendered redundant now in the age of, you know, box sets and whatnot. Troubadour is going to be a better purchase. But again, it's close to my heart because it was the first Donovan album I ever heard. Barabba-Jangle is another album more or less as good as Hurdy-Gurdy Man. I know that there are people who definitely think one is better than the other, but I like them both about the same. I love Barabba-Jangle. The Jeff Beck group is on that song. Super Long is My Supergirl is a song he had recorded numerous times in the 60s. Happiness Runs. I Love My Shirt. To Susan on the West Coast Waiting. Atlantis. I mean, yeah, this is mostly great stuff, you know, and he would never make a better album than this, to my knowledge, after the 60s. If you ever read his book, it's rather humorous, his autobiography, because he takes credit for a lot of things, which, you know, perhaps he shouldn't. I won't go into detail, but, you know, like Led Zeppelin and teaching the Beatles how to play guitar and stuff like that. But, you know, he still comes across as a likable guy. In 1970, Open Road. This is not a bad album. I've gone through different phases with this in my life, thinking that it's a continuation of the good stuff he did in the 60s, and thinking, no, it's the beginning of his middling period in the 70s. There are no famous songs on here, although some of these songs are very catchy. I love Changes, Song for John, Celtic Rock, Rikki Tikki Tavi is good. It's a guy who's already at this early stage, 5 years after he began, is already past his prime, but he would still record many more albums after this. I like it, but it's not great. HMS Donovan is the one I was telling you. This is another double album. As the one I was telling you earlier about his album for kids songs. I like it. Again, no real hits, although, where's that Celia song? Find it. Celia of the Seals. Not that I've ever heard that on the radio or anything, but it's not bad. It's very experimental. He's got guys on here doing funny voices and, songs about peeing or whatever. And but it's kind of charming in that way that Donovan is. So there was a time I liked this better than Open Road. Now, I don't know. They're both decent, if not great. He took 72 off and came back with Cosmic. This is a double CD. It's one of those Ed Sold ones. It's Cosmic Wheels and Essence to Essence, which is not a very good. Cosmic Wheels, if he was ever going to come back, with a hit, it should have been here. This is Cosmic Wheels. That's 73. Essence is 74. He's almost playing like he's Mark Bolan or T-Rex on some of these cuts. Cosmic Wheels could have been a T-Rex song, for instance. The rest of it's Maria Magenta, Wind Waits Lady. I mean, I remember these songs. Intergalactic Laxative doesn't work. Appearances. I mean, but it's better than Essence to Essence. By Essence to Essence in 74, there's almost, I'm looking at the songs, there's almost nothing on here which you need. There's some decent tracks, but he's past it here. If I said he was past of Open Road, he's really past it here. And you really don't need the next two. This is a 70s and slow down world where you're really cherry picking the interesting songs here. I don't begrudge him for making, these albums at this late date. I mean, he continued to make albums. So I'm gonna stop there with Slow Down World, as I have played this so little in my life that I would struggle to even remember these songs. Rock and Roll Soldier, I couldn't remember that one. Dark Eyed Blue Jean Angel, yeah. But that's only because those are the first two songs on those albums. Anyways, that's why I would go with this with you guys. This is the Troubadour. It's not really a box set. It's only 2 discs, but it's fairly solid in giving you, it goes from 64 to 76. It's fairly solid in giving you as good a 2-disc encapsulation of his career as you would want. If you don't want to invest in the albums, even the 60s ones, which I do recommend them all, get this. This is the one that I think, and it's remastered and the sound's pretty good. They use the mono when appropriate. So, and one last thing, I forgot I brought this out. This Breezes of Patchouli, I don't think it's out of print. I don't know, guys. This is all of the 60s recordings besides the stuff from 65, including all the bonus tracks that are on the individual discs. So if you want to save some money, this is 4 discs, rather than just buy Sunshine Superman. They're putting these out of order, obviously. Oh no, Mellow Yellow, Gift from a Flower to a Garden, Hurdy Gurdy Man, and this has to have Barabba Jangle, right? Oh yeah, there's a Brabba Jaguar, and then a whole disc of associated recordings, which is to say all the bonus tracks. If you want to buy all those remastered CDs separately, just get Reasons of Patchouli. It'll do you. Okay, so wow, 50 minutes, nice and short video. Donovan, what to say about him? Yeah, I mean, as anyone who follows this channel can doubtless surmise, my weak spot is the 60s. That's where I got the soft spot for. When I was growing up in the 1970s, not only was I absorbing all that 70s classic rock, I was studying the 1960s, and I continued to do that all through the 80s, when I was still absorbing all that post-punk, new wave, and early rap stuff. But I was still buying, 60s recordings, especially once the CD age really hit in the mid 80s. I did not own a Donovan album in the 70s when I was a kid. Like I said, the Greatest Hits album was the first one I ever heard. That was in the 80s. But now I quite have time for his 60s recordings. You can make a really good 2-disc Donovan comp, and maybe Troubadour is it, But I always like the comps that I make. First of all, I don't bother, with lots of unreleased stuff and rarities. I just stick with the hits, the famous tracks, and I try to always use the 45 mixes for hits, for songs that charted, for well-known songs that you heard on the radio, because and mono too, because that's how people heard them at the time. I'm not a great stereo purist. If anything, I'm a mono purist. But you need to always take this stuff on a case-by-case basis. If the stereo mix sounds better than the mono mix, and I have pointed that out to you on shows I've done here, then you go for the stereo mix, But I know a lot of people online, and some of them are just, they always prefer stereo. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. I like wide stereo, and then, I've got 2 ears and that kind of stuff. They remind me of like people who are into film like I am, who always want to see a color movie, never want to see a black and white movie. Weird. But anyways, so Donovan, yeah, I think he was great at one time. He's still around as far as I know. Wow. If he's passed away, then I don't know about it. His daughter was Ione Skye, who was an actress at one time. Maybe still is. And yeah, Donovan is definitely worth remembering. So Matt's signing off, and I may or may not do one more today. Hasta la vista.